Hello, everyone. Back for some more talk. Want to kind of recap on the last session and correct a couple things or expand on them, really, especially with like God the Sevenfold. Been reading some more and kind of always researching and fine tuning and making sure I get things a little more knowledgeable. And some things I go, oh, yeah, that makes more sense now. And finally, that ties in better. And that's God the Sevenfold. I kind of. uh, was discussing how it was similar to or like or was like the seven adjutant spirits that the divine minister basically employs on the whole local universe, which is ours is Nebadon and can encase up to 10 million inhabitable planets. Um, but anyway, this God the Sevenfold is like the universal father approach for creatures to be able to find him basically in a series of steps in a ascension. And it starts with the paradise creator sons, which is basically that's finding Jesus, and understanding that Jesus was the creator of our universe. And he bestowed himself in the flesh to teach us exactly what this universe is about. And the most of it is, to me, the simplest form is the love of the universal father, to the point that he does this to where he sends his own son down to explain that to us mortal creatures who get things wrong and think that we know everything and want to be doing our own thing for our own purposes and our own power attainment achievements. And some of us over the years, I'm sure, have done really well on putting it out there that it's all for God, and it's really for everyone else that needs help. And unfortunately, a lot of other people just don't. They just keep to themselves all the good stuff, and anyone else they're like just step over to get to better themselves, and that's not how it should be. Should always be helping out and trying to be better in ourselves and our brethren, the ones around us. And then you'd be surprised how much it really betters you when you're unselfish and you try to be helpful. But back to that finding Jesus and recognizing that the way, the truth, the life, the light, that is the way. And when you reborn in the spirit and you live your life for God, and you try to realign your will with the will of God and rededicate each moment by moment to trying to better yourself or think more with love in the front of your mind, and not so much with fault finding or negativity. But anyway, that's exactly what it means. To you have to go through the Son to get to the Father, and that's one of the first steps is recognizing this paradise creator Son, uh, which your ancient book terms Michael or Makalel. It's pronounced, I'm sure, even different. But most people consider him the chief archangel, the angels, and technically, and what I believe, he is the creator's son, and he came down and incarnated Jesus, or Yeshua ben Yosef, however you want to say his name. You probably even say it a little different. If my understanding is right, he understood, Jesus did, Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew, and he was pretty much a master, and he got to be a rabbi for a reason. He was called rabbi because he did get the education, and more so not just through the what was available for him, but what was available inside him, and how he communed with the Father on the eventually to the full potential level. And that's the thing, is we don't take time to commune with the Father personally as much as we really need to. And when you do, it's amazing how much you can get some answers by just asking God, what do I need to do here, and really concentrating and honing in, and trying to tune out all the other area surroundings. So find a quiet spot, and really, and if you fall asleep, that's okay. That's can be part of it. But if you really focus your energy into thinking about something positive, there can be some answers just you find inside yourself. But the sevenfold approach basically starts with the Creator Son and finding what Jesus is about, and that's two things he gave. The commandment is the fatherhood of God, love God with all your heart and soul, and then the second's inherent in that, and that's to love God's creation, everything else that's around you and mankind, women, children, animals, and it's not to say you can't defend your ideals and rights, but I hope there are really good ones and worth defending that are honorable and courageous. But to the point, if you can't reason with someone and you got to resort to defense, that gets to be hard decisions, and I don't have all the answers for that. And hopefully, those tests don't come up too often, and we can reason with our brethren and try to show that we're just here to care and love and not be so negative and trying to better ourselves by putting other people down. But then to further on, imagine to be able to go through the Creator Son to further your ascension career, you probably have to leave this life in the mortal flesh with his death, and eventually down the road, my understanding, there will actually be temples for uh, translation, basically where people are taught and bred and raised in the love of God to the point where no one worries about disease or viruses or the negative things. Everyone's just in tune with the love of God to the point where these things don't manifest anymore. And those vibrations that everyone's feeling are just more loving and godly and more high purpose, higher intelligence, higher uh, thinking and living and the living faith for the living eternal God. And it deals with love and mercy and forgiveness and so much good stuff. Just all the good things are what's survivable, and that qualities that are godly and that he freely bestows on us. But then the sevenfold approach, you go through. They call the Ancient of Days, which is there's 21 of them, three for each or three for each super universe, and there's seven super universes going around the central hub of the central universe in paradise, and then those Ancient of Days, I imagine, are the supreme, basically jurisdiction over those evolving universes that we're in time and space. And then to further our ascension career, they have the seven master spirits, and these are the basically each one has influence on each super universe, and depending on how they came about or their origin, there's seven out of three. I mean, I think I've talked about this a little, where there's one for each personality of the universal Father, the God the Eternal Son, and God the Spirit, the Infinite Spirit, and then there's four more for each combination of those with so Universal Son or Universal Father and Eternal Son, and that's one more, so that makes four. And then the fifth one is a Universal Father with the Infinite Spirit, and then that's five, and the sixth would be the Son and the Spirit. And then the seventh is all three, and that happens to be the master spirit of our universe, is the origin of all three personalities. And so imagine there's an influence on that, and that's what it says in the ancient book, that they're influencing their whole universe, super universe. Every creature is going to have some kind of influence from them. And then you can further through those seven master spirits with the supreme being, and that's that one I talked about earlier. That's this almighty presence that's actualizing in the time and space finite realm, have you, and all the positive and personalization of spirit values in the seven universes, seven super universes. And then you go to the three paradise trinities: God the Spirit, God the Son, and God the Father, and that basically is the sevenfold approach that starting, in this phase, and just becoming God conscious and God knowing and God loving, you will recognize that, at least maybe not on this plane or on this level, but eventually, if you are a true God loving person and you don't really recognize Jesus as the personal Lord and Savior, I imagine that in the next life, that you might come to realize that it's a little different than what you thought, and I'm not going to know exactly, and I might have it wrong here, but what I believe in my heart is that there resides in my heart right now a part of God, a presence that is helping me out on way more levels than I've ever understood, and it's really humbling me down to think about things on so much different level when it comes to my socialization with other people, and that's the best thing is recognizing, and I wasn't always just a ass or a dick or nothing, but I wasn't always that unselfish, and I did step on other people or pushing them down, and not so much physically but more mentally, which is worse, and that can be hard, definitely, to try and fix, or definitely get some retribution, the word, but just trying to mend some of those old injuries that we've had on people, and to realize that we can change, and that we can change way better with the power of God and the help of God and the aid of God, and it's out there, for sure. And I want to also hit up on some of this other stuff with like we'll talk here, personality realities. They have body, mind, spirit, soul, and I'm gonna hit up on the spirit and soul being a little different. And the soul is what can be built up through the spirit, and the Bible says, spirit testifies the spirit, and it gets things kind of conglomerated and mixed up to where it's hard to understand, and people just want to be able to understand and agree. So you get a lot of people agreeing on things they don't understand because they don't want to not like people they understand. But there are some out there like, hey, I don't really get this, and what does this mean? And trying to break it down, and that's the thing, that the piece of infinity, that father fragment, that installation of God that everyone has in them on this planet, is my understanding that can drive them to have more spiritual values, the love, the beauty, goodness, and that's what's the soul building, and makes you want to be more God knowing, more God loving, and and do things that are within those spirit realms that will grow to where you become less material minded and more spirit minded. And but there's a little difference between spirit and the soul there, and the soul is what will survive this realm and this material realm into the next, or transcend space, have you, and go into super space or super time or whatnot, and that's beyond my comprehension. And again, I imagine in a year from now, I'm still doing these videos. They'll be a little bit different, and I'll hit up on this stuff probably like so. Back then, I really didn't know what was going on as well as I do now, and that's the part of growth and understanding, and I can recognize that right now. And so, I mean, imagine in a year from now if I'm still doing some videos and writing on the scroll, which I plan on. I got another 100-foot scroll I'm gonna start on, and with another timeline spread out a little bit more, and some more visual aids and whatnot. It gets cramped, and this kind of one isn't real organized as well as I'd like, so I get some blueprints down to do that better and make it smoother and a little bit more flowing, so it's easier to grasp and teach as a teaching aid. And I love learning, and it's always nice to share what you learn, and hopefully other people can learn. And this is the best stuff to learn because this is existence, and it can change how you actually live your life in a better way. In my personal opinion, where love is way better than hating and being negative, and I've seen both sides where everyone has. Unless you're really, really sheltered, you're gonna know a lot of the negative stuff that goes on in this world, and we can change it one by one, one by one. We can actually make a difference, and it's hard to do on a daily basis for sure. But if you really ask God and to help you, and remind yourself that God is there and He will help you, and when you have those moments where you're just gonna blow up or you want to get angry and you just want to swing out, you can really take a 5 second breather and just shut your eyes and relax and just tune out your environment right then, and just if you got to step away, there's usually a restroom or something you can get to, and just kind of reset, refocus, and realize what's really is important in your life, and what's important in your soul, and that's, to me it's the love, and not everyone is on the same level, so sometimes trying to get there with other people and get to realize you can have backward steps and whatnot, and definitely you'll be surprised though that some people come around, and if you're just emanating love and vibrations of positivity, regardless, people say, "Well, kill him with kindness." Well, that's kind of oxymoron to me, but yeah, you can definitely put that empowerment of kindness out there, even on top of that negativity, and that's begetting good from evil. And people will realize that they're not going to get to you by their negative, their fault finding, and they're picking apart all your little flaws that you have, and even if you have big ones, it doesn't matter. That God is there to love us, and as soon as we recognize that, the sooner we can start loving ourselves, and then we'll love ourselves to the point from God's help that it just bursts out. You just want to love everyone else, and that's the unselfish, selfish part of the love. I mean, if people want to argue about that's being selfish, then that's just being negative, and I'm just gonna be like, look, I'm just gonna try and love you from over here, and if you want to be positive and you get closer and closer, but as you're gonna be negative, then let's just keep our distances. But sometimes you gotta have confrontation to start a positive path, and some people really got to be helped down, and can be stubborn to wanting, and they really do want it, but there's part of them that is like, oh no, you really don't want to get in there, but it's hard to make that jump sometimes to really becoming more God orientated and having God in your life, and not just thinking about me, 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 me. What can I do for myself today? Say, what can I do for someone else today? Who can I remember and maybe make their life a little bit better by just sending them in a text or calling your mom or your grandma or your grandpa or somebody to let them know that you're thinking about them, and that you definitely can remember times when they did something nice for you. I'm sure, especially older of our loved ones, they're wiser and have learned, and usually help us out also. And it's so kind when people remember each other, and that's the point of fellowship and the brotherhood of man. Uh, but just wanted to get that out there, and talk about that God sevenfold, and kind of approach, and it's kind of similar to the seven adjutant spirits, where you have the spirit of wisdom, spirit of worship, that we can recognize the point where we want to direct our energies to a higher level, and it's more on our local planet, and that is what we see, because we again, humans are really selfish and arrogant, and they think they're the only ones that God loves and cares about, where there's really this whole vast, we accept that there's this vast universe out there, but do we accept that God can actually implant life wherever he wants, and then he can love whoever he wants on whatever level of comprehension that we don't have to have? We can just accept that God's out there loving his universe in ways that we may not know, but ways that we can come to understand if we just want to become God knowing, and really focus on being more spirit minded and less material minded. It's not to me, really, you want to be at the top, be number one, yeah, but do you want to get there by cheating, or by playing unfair, or by some shortcut, or by pushing people down, or if you get there by good competitive nature, or I attribute to playing sports because I love sports, and there's sometimes sports can be something that you don't love because of uh, people can be influenced to cheat, and especially on a professional level when money's involved and corruption and greed and you got betting going on games, and when you lose sight of the actual reason why you play, and it's because you love the game, then I think you're not really doing it for good reasons, and it's takes away the integrity of good competition. And anyone that watches sports can see this, and I think over the years that most of the officiating, most of the referees have done pretty good, and there's probably some terrible ones out there that have been paid off or bribed and caused some tragic events in our world's sports history. But that's anything with humans, and to recognize that we really need to focus on the positive and loving, and that's having God in our lives. And it's all amazing and so much changing, and we can say it with our lips and we can think it with our minds, but till you feel it in your hearts, it's not that real. It's got to be more real. And got some more videos I'm going to make, and some more about this absolutes, and talking about this unqualified absolute and universal absolute, and the DD absolute. There's a lot of these things that are hard to understand, and what's unqualified, and that's to me is no quality of existence. God is God, and is I am. I am, and also He is what is not. And that's the storehouse of potential that can be whatever God has planned for our destiny, and that to me encompasses love and mercy and those spiritual values that are way better than what we can comprehend on this realm, in this material realm, on this training ground for our souls, and trying to basically not be so grounded in conceit and selfishness. But that's basically all I had to say today. I gotta probably make another video soon. I've gotta kind of outline what I want to do, and got some more talking about this forward in their answer book. Just getting through the forward is really tough, and I'm reading it basically a third time. And breaking it down to a point where it's making a lot more sense than the first time I read through it. And the first time, if you read through it, don't be so hard on yourself trying to understand everything at once. You come back to it after you read the book or read some other sections, and things will definitely start to hit in more. And don't get frustrated or anything. If you gotta look up words, and take your time. We're talking about God and trying to understand the most incomprehensible thing that this universe has to offer. And so you start simply by love and go from there. If you really are a truth seeker and you really want to know the truth, these are the spiritual values that lead you there. And you can start within yourself. And most homes I know have a Bible, and pick up a Bible and start in Isaiah, or some of the prophets, or in the New Testament, anything Jesus has, he's saying is best. So I'm not saying everything in the Bible is easy to understand, and there's a lot of history in there too, and I love all that history stuff, and I'm putting it together, and I haven't read it all. I've been reading here and there, and I've got different sources that I'm looking into, different commentary about the Bible, and Hebrew and Greek, and I definitely don't understand Hebrew. I read Greek a little bit, but it's not something I'm focused in as a apt pupil, or dedicated. I hit and miss. I got 3 or 4 or 5 books at a time, but it's definitely what I do from now on. When I'm not working, and I do have a 40-hour week job that I do, so it takes up a lot of time. And anyway, I love doing these videos and talking to people, and I sure hope that it helps reach some people that God is love, and God is spirit, and God is personality, and all these bestowments He sends on us. And I think this world's been in a lot of hurt for a lot of centuries, and we really could come together and really do better for this world, and show that the universe, and show God that we're not a wasted planet. That we do have love to reciprocate, and we're not gonna take this existence for granted. At least I'm not. I'm gonna try my best and get out there and be a soul soldier for God, basically. So it's nice talking to you, and I hope you all have a great day and a great journey, and think about things, more on a deeper level, and don't get so caught up in those traps of materialism. All right, peace out, guys. Love y'all.